Yeah, but we don't want to.
Sequelifus. I mean,
Sequifilus.
Sequifilus?
Syphilis.
Yeah. But then with sequel in it.
That's disgusting.
It just doesn't work as good as sequelitis. You know? So why change what ain't broken, right?
I think we're just gonna stick with the name that we have.
Yeah, okay. Critic acidic is probably just the way to go.
I mean, like, messing with it's a little too dangerous because it'll just come out really awkward and shit.
What was your idea? Like combining
pre-requel boots.
No one will be able to say that.
Pre-requel boots is more. I can say pre-requel boots faster than I could say sequifilus. Syphilis, man, that's disgusting.
What? And bronchitis. Okay, syphilis is more disgusting. But,
Sequelitis. Itis is a common suffix. Okay.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Anyway.
All right. Do we have anything to talk about first this week?
Well, we didn't go and see a movie because it was Halloween. And,
so I guess we're just going straight in. I like this week. Already I like this week because we're kind of we dropped the idea of having like too many notes for this.
Yeah.
And I just want to. I like it more casual.
It's going to be a little more freeform.
Yeah, I like it more casual. Like, we had a few conversations about this before we came in, but like, you know, since there's no notes, it's not going to be as structured, and I think.
Yeah,
that's what
we will give like a basic outline.
I mean, the whole
this week it's going to be on PC culture and how they relate to franchises.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're trying not to pick a side, but it's obvious that, you know, Hollywood wants to make positive depictions out of liberal concepts and stuff.
Definitely leaning towards the left, yeah, when it comes to that.
We're definitely making assessments of how well movies actually do that.
Exactly.
Especially franchises.
Yeah. So we'll be going over, what was it, like gay representation and kind of like minority representation, as well as disability.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be talking about showboating versus normalization.
Yeah, I'm much more into disability. I think that's the one that I'm really drawn to as a topic.
Right.
Especially since we put up last night, at the time of recording, we put up the Hereditary post.
Oh, true.
So that's a big disability movie, and I reckon it's going to get a sequel.
I mean, no, because what would the sequel be, first of all?
Sequel would just be them doing like a whole new family with under the cult, you know, exploring, like, developing out the world of the cult that they revealed in the end of the movie, and then there's just a new family or a new character or set of characters that what's the god's name? Payman is messing with, I guess.
But why? Like, I think the goal at the end of Hereditary is, I mean, sure, it ain't world domination, but it's a step towards it, right?
Do you think that guy's gonna do a third movie that's in a similar vein to The Witch and Hereditary, and then call it his, like, horror occult
it wasn't
trilogy?
The same director. The guy who did The Witch, he produced Hereditary.
Oh yeah, it's Blumhouse, isn't it? It's just the production company.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet they might do like a third movie with that whole crew together, though, because the guy who did The Witch was definitely tied to the project.
Yeah.
And aesthetically, both movies feel very similar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you feel like they're going for a very similar feel.
Yeah.
So I'd be very interested to see if they do a third movie where they're kind of like, the follow-up to Hereditary, and they just do a whole other concept.
Yeah, I feel like we could get a sequel. I feel like they could squeeze a sequel out. Do I have confidence that it'd be good? No.
But I do, because I love The Witch.
No, like, I think that the minds behind The Witch are much more likely to focus on an original concept for another movie.
Right.
Whereas the minds behind Hereditary and The Witch, I should say, but if they want to make a sequel, it's probably going to get handed off to someone else who's just going to make a, you know, haphazard horror sequel, you know. I don't have confidence, but I think conceptually it could be handled in a way that would make for an interesting sequel. Again, if you read the post, I didn't have the most glowing opinion of the movie. It's a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
And I know from you it's probably an 8 or 9. Yeah.
If not, I mean, not a 10, can't be
it's
yet.
It's not a 10. It's not.
I loved it a lot. But okay, more on this later when we get to disability, which is depicted in Hereditary. But before we go there, let's talk about so like gay representation and minority representation.
Yeah. Okay. What was our big?
Well, the big one's Harry Potter.
The big one's Harry Potter. Yeah, we wanted
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, we wanted to have this discussion about J.K. Rowling making these like posthumous comments, edits, modifications to the characters.
The big one being, what she first said. It wasn't a tweet. It was her actually addressing a crowd, being like, "Well, Dumbledore's gay."
Yeah, she said something. Yeah, she said something along those lines. And like, you know, a lot of people talk to me about this. A lot of our friends, my girlfriend's a huge Harry Potter fan, and we talk about it. And I think, you know, it's fine if she wants to turn the character into a gay icon, but I think that it really impacts the story in like a weird negative way.
Because but like what we talked about, Dumbledore is not a sexual character.
Yeah, fully not. And I think that discussing them in this way is like, you know,
it's very fan fiction.
It's very it's very like I really like this character, so I want to dissect his psychology, and obviously an element of that psychology is sexuality.
Yeah.
And because he had all of this established backstory with Grindelwald and his brother and his sister and all of this stuff, like, and he's had no romantic partners like in the books. I don't think.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, so like it's obviously like a conclusion that they wanted to draw. Fans wanted to draw, and I think it's a perfectly admirable conclusion. What's not admirable about it is the way that J.K. Rowling enjoyed or seemed to you know, take the liberty of retconning everyone's experiences with the books.
Yeah. Because
he is a non-sexual character, and I think that she could have just done the same thing and with a lot less risk by writing this aspect of the character into her newer material. Yeah, the Fantastic Beasts stuff, which she doesn't necessarily have control over, but influence. Like, she still has influence.
Yeah, yeah.
And if she wanted to, she could do it there and, you know, appease the fans that wanted it.
And that's exactly what makes it feel so half-assed, you know, because the thing is, we're probably not going to get a gay Dumbledore from Fantastic Beasts.
No, totally not. 100%.
Yeah, the producers can't afford to take that risk.
He's just gonna be like this cool character, this suave character. But
so hold on, like the thing with Rowling that makes me so mad about this is the fact that she's more than happy to sit there and, like, at this point she's defending it from Twitter and whatnot. She's happy to sit there and say, like, yeah, Dumbledore's gay, and you're just going to have to deal with that, right? But at the same time, the actual canon, the books, the movies, all that stuff, at no point hint towards this at all, you know?
Yeah.
So it feels cheap. This cheapens the whole, like, the power of having a character come out and openly be gay, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree that it cheapens it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily any less effective if you have central character in pop culture canon, which Dumbledore, for all intents and purposes, is. He's more central to the Harry Potter mythos, the Harry Potter fandom, and Harry Potter with its position in popular culture than even characters like Ron.
Yeah. Who's
like right there next to Harry in every adventure.
Yeah.
But Dumbledore is more of a figure.
Yeah. He's more important.
Yeah, and so I think if she wants to appeal to her liberal audience, if she wants to, you know, fulfill this part of her fiction, that's fine, but the character is, you know, already centralized.
Yeah.
And you can develop the character further rather than just completely retconning, you know, what exists. I mean, I said something along the lines in an earlier conversation. I said, like, it's an interesting dynamic that she has where she retcons it now, and a whole bunch of fans get mad, and a whole bunch of fans feel really happy, and they feel appraised because they've had their fan theories confirmed. All these people who filter through the books and highlight every weird, you know, subtle homosexual reference or, you know, pun or whatever they could draw, whatever they could extrapolate.
Yeah.
And it's cool to have validation as a fan, and I get that.
Right.
But that validation would still exist if she decided to include it as an element in her newer work.
Yeah.
Instead of retconning old work, because it's literally like creator has control over how people read their material.
Precisely.
You know, and her influence is large in the Harry Potter community.
Yeah. Because
she essentially auteurs the entire world.
Yeah.
That these fans just love to inhabit, you know?
And it's the same with, like, Black Hermione, you know, because Hermione was played by a black actress in one of the plays, and I have no issue with that. I think that's great. That's a new kind of a new way to imagine a character, you know, and that's cool when you're doing a new medium. Like, explore a little,
I think
experiment a little.
Yeah, 100%.
But then she comes out and she's like, "Oh, I never stated that Hermione wasn't black," when clearly she does. There's passages in the book that state that Hermione had like a pale face because of something that had happened, you know, and it's like it's just difficult to sit there and take her serious when she's obviously trying to just get these liberal brownie points.
Yeah,
you know, that's my issue with it.
Yeah, it's definitely really interesting.
And that's honestly, that's my biggest issue with the whole inclusiveness of liberal Hollywood these days, because it feels like we're meeting quotas.
I mean,
it feels like we're not actually putting these characters in because we have interesting characters to explore, and we want to, you know, have sexuality be a part of that and be inclusive because of that.
Well, I think with Harry Potter it's interesting because it's not like the idea of having a token character, it's the idea of changing someone into a token character.
Right, yeah.
Right? Like, it's really awkward, actually, because the movies did a bit of whitewashing. Like, wasn't Lavender Brown a black girl in the first few movies? Yeah. And then they made her white when she started interacting with Ron in The Half-Blood Prince.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think The Half-Blood Prince. Like, they
but they didn't make one of the monks from Draco Black.
No, because it's a different guy. It's like Blade or some douchey name. That's like
because his old actor went to jail.
It's like Blaze. Yeah, because his old actor was in a riot.
Exactly.
Which is hilarious. Yeah, some douche like. But then he came back.
Yeah.
For the last movies, which is cool.
I didn't know that actually, but that is cool. Yeah.
I think he did. Did he? Maybe I'm wrong. I
remember the black kid dying.
I'm trying to.
Fire.
No, actually, maybe that's right. Because I thought that it was him in the Room of Requirement in that last movie.
No. They both died, both as mooks, but
yeah, Crab and Goyle or Crab and Blade.
Ooh, edgy.
Crab and Blade, Vampire Slayer.
But yeah, no, you're right. There was a bit of whitewashing throughout Harry Potter.
I mean, I think that the series has always had kind of like a dicey relationship with race, just considering that it is like. You know, it's written about suburban English people and about private schools and all kinds of aspects of it that are really
elitist.
No, I wouldn't say elitist. Just definitely like a white people thing.
Right.
You know, it's definitely like, oh, he was like our private school, and you know, we're having butterbeer, all of the different food. It's like it's all this hoity-toity British culture stuff.
I'm calling it elitism.
The rest of the world just looks at it and goes, "That is the most British thing ever."
Yeah.
And it's totally clear that obviously she was envisioning these three young white kids. But I think with the performance with Hermione being black, it's interesting because I think it's more of just a performance thing. They should have just said instead of going, "Oh, like I never explicitly said Hermione was black." Why not just say there's no element of race to the character intrinsically.
Yeah.
In the books, there are obviously passages, like you say, that give her a pale face, which is uncharacteristic of black people.
Yeah.
but there is no element of her character that has like her character arc, her story has nothing to do, like, in fact, it could even have more to say on the idea of race, considering she's a mudblood.
Right.
She's persecuted in Hogwarts.
Yeah.
And, like, that's an interesting element to build upon. And so I think having this kind of positivist approach and actually using this idea of changing the performer into a black actress is like, well, like, maybe that real-world decision to change the performer adds something to the meta narrative of Harry Potter, rather than the narrative itself being and like, oh, she was black all along.
To explore that through a new medium,
exactly.
Which is why, once again, I 100% support a decision like that.
And the performer was great; she was good.
Yeah, no, that too.
Terrible play, but.
But yeah, it's funny how it's the issue lies with the creator and the way that they present this, and how it's obviously just pandering, as opposed to making actual progression for this movement.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and let's move on to disability then, that part of the discussion.
Because I think this is more interesting because movies actually play with this as an idea. I mean, this is something that exists in film as something that's both problematic and beneficial, and we have like a lot of There's a lot of examples.
No, there is, because media, it's like psychological disorders. You know, well, actually they fall under the same hat, but the media loves to play with this because of how little they understand it. You know, so yeah, like Daredevil, he loses his sight, and as a result, he can suddenly hear as well as a bat. You know, and that makes zero sense. But
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, you know, it's a superpower now because he's blind, so clearly that gives him a superpower. Like, it makes shit all sense.
I mean, like, there are different versions of Daredevil. There are a few that he you know, in the TV show as well, he gets hit with a chemical spill,
right?
And so it's kind of like a thing where he just becomes blind because it obviously gets in his eyes.
But then the chemicals also
but they never explicitly say it. It's kind of just implied,
right.
Which I kind of like because you know.
Because that way you can kind of sit there like, oh, it could be this,
at least when you sit there going like, this is ridiculous, then you think back and you're like, but it's kind of like still like a really superhero thing to have this accident or incident that like changes your life forever. But for Daredevil, the added thing is like he's not like some Peter Parker character who happenstance becomes superpowered. He's a character who gets hit with the accident, and the first thing that he gets, it's not his ability to leap tall buildings and do acrobatic moves and shit. The first thing that he gets is blindness.
Yeah.
And he has to deal with that.
Yeah.
And then you know, as he deals with it over the course of his life, you know, he trains himself up and
he turns it into a strength, which
yeah.
is very empowering.
Yeah, I think that Daredevil's a very dicey one,
right?
Because it's superhero-y.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like saying like the old blind wise guy is like supposed to be some sort of message on, you know, blindness being like as soon as you go blind, you become a genius, or
you become a sage.
Yeah, you become a sage, future, which is like kind of. It's a trope more than it is an actual message that they're trying to send.
Yeah, but that one's a much older trope, and one that I honestly kind of respect because I feel like that one has like actual historical cultural significance. Where like if you got some shaman who's like 80 years old,
druids
way past
druids and stuff,
past the due date back in these days, and they become blind, then people still would have lots of respect for them, and I imagine with the meditation that these people would be doing. Most of it would be hogwash, obviously, but they'd be listened to for their quote-unquote visions now that they're blind.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you were to talk about that, I think, you could definitely make an argument that there is a cultural background to that.
Exactly.
To that stereotype of a character.
That, I mean, storytelling convention, cliche almost.
Yeah,
you know?
but I think that, you know, back on track, like, the idea of saying the Daredevil is some greater message about the plights of blind people is pretty much a comparison that you could make between saying that these old, you know, typically black. I mean, I'd say the black magic people stereotypes still exist.
Interesting you say that
because
I see an old white dude. Then if I were to think of that trope,
who's the character that you imagine?
I can't even give you an actual example.
Really?
I know him from like myths and, you know, from like conventional storytelling.
So the first character that comes to mind,
old wise guy.
The first character that comes to mind, literally because we were just talking about, is the guy from Daredevil, Stick.
I mean, I wouldn't know him, but
oh yeah, because you haven't seen it. But then there are a few in other movies. I think there's one in Blade. There's like, oh my god, there's so many where it's
Book of Eli.
But
he's a badass, so you know.
He is a fucking badass.
Exactly.
I mean, like, it's interesting. That's much more of a trope, of a stereotype, of a character archetype.
Yeah.
And, you know, what I talk about, it kind of, what I was talking about before, it kind of bleeds into the whole, like, you know, magic, wise, Morgan Freeman, black man.
Yeah.
Stereotype that Hollywood's been inserting into a lot of movies for a long time.
No, that's true. No, I definitely see that. But hey, back on track. So let's talk about examples where there's disability depicted, and it's not even in a superhero sense, but at the same time it becomes something that's so empowering that it's just beyond the realms of belief, aka Dory. Finding Dory.
Really? Because I was gonna say Split. I thought you were leading into a conversation about Split.
I mean, I could lead into Split, but Split is also what's his face?
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, so I can't really take his movies serious in the first place.
But he's so good.
But Finding Dory was actually that was a movie that clearly had a message about Dory dealing with her disability.
100%.
And then going so cheap at the end with the way that she kind of just figures it out.
It's not even at the end, dude. That's like over the course of the movie.
I mean, but at the end, it straight up becomes God. What even? I remember that was the other one, the other whale, because all the characters in a movie are kind of like, oh, they all have a disability.
Yeah, there's the whale shark.
Exactly.
There's the bottlenose dolphin.
Fun little band. Yeah.
There's is it Peggy the seagull?
Oh, dude, I don't even remember.
Becky the bird.
Recall all of this, man?
The bird who's supposed to be the dumb bird.
Right.
But like, and Marlon's all like, Becky. Becky's all like, I don't give a shit about what you're talking about, but Marvin, whatever the fuck your name is.
That's a vague memory for me. That movie kind of just washed over me. Like,
then there's the stupid seal. There's like the 3 seals on the rock, and there's the one that the 2 other seals just bark off every time.
They're just there for a joke, basically.
No, yeah, but it's like all this evidence of what you're saying. Like they're really building a message.
Yeah.
About they really explicitly building this message about people who live with these struggles.
Yeah, and they cheapen it at the end by just having everyone magically get over it and suddenly work together.
Two or three of the characters actually. I don't. The whale shark doesn't. She's short-sighted, and she doesn't really get over it. But she just is in the open ocean, I guess.
Right.
At the end, like there's no real.
Which is
no real explanation of that.
Like, let's look at that realistically, you know.
Probably.
But hey.
And then like there's Becky, who kind of has her like redemption because she's like smart or smarter than Marlon initially judges her to be.
Yeah.
And then there's like there's the bottlenose dolphin who I know you're talking about, who like he has the echolocation, but then like he's having like headaches, or he's got like a bump on his head or something. And he's like, oh, like
it messes with it.
I'm having a bump on my head and I don't have my echolocation, and it turned out to just be some like weird like mental block where he just had this dumb idea about what he had that was entirely not true, and he was perfectly
sounds like
healthy.
Deus Ex Machina, right?
Yeah, so it was so like
yeah.
Dory, with Finding Dory, but I raised the point actually with Finding Dory that Hank was a positive portrayal of disability.
Right, because Hank is the octopus who's missing an arm. Right?
Yeah, he's a septopus.
Yeah.
But like here's the thing. Line that the movie walks is like, there's an interesting line of questioning, is that should like disability should always be depicted, or troubles that a character has with their disability should be depicted in proportion with the flaws of the character, disabilities of the character, right? And so Hank never really struggles and is fully normalized within the movie.
Yeah.
As a character who has like a missing, he's a septopus, and he's embarrassed by that, and it affects him mentally, and that is an element of his character arc, but it never actually affects his ability to contribute.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are a lot of disabilities out there in the world that don't affect people's ability to contribute to society nearly as much as they probably think themselves that it does. They have a self-conscious idea about it.
So it's a much better example of this mental block that we were talking about.
Yeah, I think I really like the character of Hank.
He doubts himself despite the fact that his disability is something that isn't, first off, anything to be ashamed of, and second off, anything that's holding him back. Yeah. And that's a good depiction. That's
I really
a lot
like
of people
that.
would feel like that.
Yeah, I really liked Hank.
Yeah.
But I fully agree with the aspect that Dory and the bottlenose dolphin fully just Deus Ex Machina their way through the movie by breaking through Dory's short-term memory loss, and the bottlenose dolphin with the echolocation thing.
Yeah.
There's so much of this throughout the movie, and it, like.
And so the question is like, how do we like depict this properly? Because disability is so interesting to talk about, because in your typical a AAA action movie blockbuster kind of thing, no one's gonna have a disability, and if they do, then they're gonna be a very minor character at best, right? Because you don't want to depict that.
They're gonna be your like. What's the character from 300? The weird old
they're going to be villainized and anything,
Yeah.
Exactly. They're going to be characters that we kind of like, we shouldn't root for. They're going to be characters where we're kind of like, oh, sucks to be them.
Yeah,
but
we sympathize, but we don't.
Exactly. We want to look at the big buff dude who's blowing shit up, our protagonist who's able-bodied and all of that. It's good that we're getting to a point where Hollywood is releasing movies about realistic people who have like a realistic problems, and not just like problems in their head, but who have like disabilities.
But also like characters that are like that.
Yeah. And how this affects their lives, And I think honestly, what we need to see more from Hollywood is movies that actually like they show the realistic struggle that these people would have.
Yeah.
Right, because Dory, she kind of just gets over it, and it's super cheap. And anything that happens because of a short-term memory loss or because of her impulsiveness, frankly, nearly gets everyone killed.
Yeah.
Without her ever facing any consequences for it. They'll just kind of get over it, and I sit there like, hold on, but that was super dangerous. Like that's kind of not okay. You know, you gotta make sure that she and everyone else stays safe.
Yeah.
Right, because what you're dealing with is obviously a bit of a struggle, and yeah, that just feels like the wrong way to depict this.
So actually, I have a idea or something to contribute. What do you think about switching from disability now? What do you think about mental health in Inside Out? It's another Disney movie. It's not going to get a sequel, but like in the same vein, in the same from the same creators. Like this is a movie about mental stability, not necessarily explicitly mental health, but it is like a fairly neutral and unweighted depiction of the balance of emotion in an individual person. And I think
the way the emotion board goes black when she's kind of like losing grip of herself, and like of everything, you know, and she wants to run away and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I honestly thought that was a really, really good depiction of. God, you can't even label it, you know. Because I guess it was like severe depression.
It's mental health. It's mental health.
Yeah.
You know, it's the spectrum of mental health.
Yeah.
Because the balance of the emotions obviously represented by the interactions between the actual emotions, because they're depicted as characters, right?
Yeah.
And like, I feel like it's an exaggeration to think that you know, it's an exaggeration to depict emotions in extremes like that. But the real element of emotion in Riley, the human character, is like the interaction between them and the spectrum that the five emotions form together.
Yeah.
You know, I really like that.
Yeah.
I think that's another example of Disney doubling down on like having a neutral depiction of something.
Yeah.
A neutral and realistic depiction, because if you are going through mental health problems, or if you are having anxiety or depression, like you're not gonna, positivity is not the thing that's gonna save you all the way.
Yeah.
Like obviously being positive about things is good.
Yeah.
But you know, real people, healthy, like mentally stable people, are still sad.
Yeah.
And they are still angry.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely a big component of Inside Out.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think that like, I think that they definitely could have used a little more of that approach in Finding Dory, which is so explicitly about disability.
For sure. Yeah, I think that Inside Out was a great movie with a great message, and it delivered it really well. You know, because it was kind of like Joy, her whole character revelation is, I should let sadness take the wheel sometimes. Yeah. You know, because exactly, if you're going to be joyful and happy all the time, then you're just going to crack.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what happens. Yeah. You know, so that's a much stronger narrative, I feel, and a much clearer message. Because Dory kind of just leaves you sitting there confused, like, okay, so what am I supposed to take from this?
Yeah.
You know, because it presents all these conflicting ideas where it's like disability is empowering, while at the same time it's nearly gonna get your friends killed.
Yeah.
And then in the end, it's just gonna magically work itself out when the plot needs it to.
See, I totally think that Finding Dory gets lost in telling this story of this girl finding her parents again. Yeah. And in telling that story, it loses sight of what the movie is obviously thematically approaching, which is the disability. The disability discussion, right, that it's having. But I still maintain that Hank is like a choice description.
Hank gets it right in that movie.
He gets it right, but like obviously, what would be more beneficial to society and to the movie's message is depicting that that balance, that dynamic that the character has with his own problem, but with a more severe or a more like difficult disability, right, because for Hank it's literally like almost nothing. He has the ability to fully adapt to anything, but for other characters they have difficulties with it, and they feel self-conscious about it, and that psychologically would be a very interesting place to play in for a movie. And obviously it's hard, but Inside Out shows that these writers have the capability to approach something with, you know, a much more fluid, you know, dynamic than Hollywood traditionally has.
Yeah, I think Inside Out, this is going to segue into our third component of this discussion, gets it right all the way through, because what Dory does is, it's honestly, it's great. It normalizes the disabilities of these characters, you know, because at no point is it ever held up in your face like, oh, look at these broken people, like, oh, it's so, like, tragic, and we're going to focus on, like, how basically how Oscar baity we can make this by depicting disability.
Yeah.
By putting it on a pedestal to show it off.
Yeah.
It never does that. But Inside Out depicts it so naturally. Like,
it's the entire concept.
Exactly. This emotional dilemma that Riley is going through, it's just depicted so, like, as an integral part of the plot that it feels great, you know, watching that movie. It all feels coherent.
Yeah.
And this is what Hollywood especially gets wrong. Now that we're really getting to the point where, God, do we even call it liberal media? Where, you know, there's just more recognition, representation of not just disability, but sexuality and minorities and stuff. We have these movies where it kind of just feels like they're putting it in because they want to be Oscar baity. Because they're like, oh, guys, look, we're meeting quotas. We're being so progressive. Yeah. You know, and that feels wrong. That's not the reason why we're telling stories.
It feels wrong. I think that there's an interesting dynamic. I mean, obviously, the best example of this would be Moonlight and... what's the one about the peach? Your Name?
Yeah.
Your Name?
Call Me By Your Name.
Call Me By Your Name. Yeah, so, like, obvious examples of those, which deal with homosexuality... and struggling with homosexuality, and I think depicting or writing a story about a struggle with homosexuality is not necessarily something that's not admirable. Like I fully respect the idea of exploring, you know, the dynamic that the hyper masculine, you know, African American, you know, prototype character has with his own sexuality. Yeah. That's obviously what Moonlight is all about. These are quality movies. These are great movies. Yeah. Great movies. But, like, I think that the risk that Hollywood runs is, like, from the top, from these movies, that they push, like, these grand ideas of exploring the struggles of homosexuals and black people and minorities and any sort of out-group. Mm-hmm. The problem is that it bleeds into everything else, right? Because that's the upper echelon. These are the art movies that are making the big bucks. Yeah. Right. And so the non-art movies, the blockbuster movies that want to make the big bucks as well, you know, they might, you know, see that and then go, we can include this.
We got to put that in.
Yeah, we can add this.
Exactly, because it's going to add to the ka-ching that we get from these movies.
Yeah, and that in turn then becomes, it feels more tokenistic. Yeah. Rather than something that is written as a realistic depiction, or as an exploration, I should say. Yeah. Of the elements of being a homosexual in modern society. Yeah. And like these movies are going to get made no matter what. Yeah. You know, because it is an interesting concept. Yeah. It is an interesting discussion. But like, you know, for every movie for every Moonlight, there are Danish girls, you know, there are movies about people exploring transgender. Right. For every Moonlight, there are your Get Outs. Yeah. Your movies that explore race in a nuanced way. Yeah. Through a completely different genre, other than just the vanilla Oscar drama. Exactly. That's cool. And Get Out's like, it was up there winning Oscars. Yeah, man. You know, that shit, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's not tokenistic. Yeah. That is having a concept that plays with, you know, a real dynamic in society. Yeah. But then there are movies that have tokenistic characters and tokenistic elements. Yeah. And I mean, I'm ashamed, I'm kind of like, it's kind of a bummer to say it, but like Marvel for years had the problem of the like having, you know, your Falcons and your War Machines playing second fiddle to your leading man white main characters, your Heimdalls. Yeah. But I mean, even now, you know, you look at Infinity War and the what's it called, the role that Black Panther had in that. Yeah, 100%. I was like nothing. He set the stage. I feel as though that's a little symptomatic of just how they built it, though, because they had those years You know,
That's
the
true.
early years of just having these main, you know, Captain America and Iron Man and their main characters. Yeah. I think that's just kind of how it is. But they did give like they gave Black Panther, you know, decent lines. They gave, I'll never remember that female character's name, but she was fucking
sister. Or?
No, not the sister. The leader of the Black Panthers. Elite warrior troop, with the spear.
Yeah.
I'll never remember her name, but she's cool. I really like her. Cool. Yeah. I really like her.
Yeah, I reckon Black Panther actually. It's kind of like, I do like that movie and I like the characters, but I feel like that whole tokenism thing is kind of exemplified in his character. I mean, his like sister character, and how she's supposed to be like the smartest person ever. And I'm sitting there like, look, this is super empowering to young scientists, like young female scientists, you know. But it just feels like such a stretch. You know?
I didn't think that was a stretch at all.
I mean, then again, maybe that is like a total nitpick because I'm sitting here complaining about that when there's like people flying around and there's this big purple dude like tossing planets and shit. Like, how much of a stretch of the imagination is that?
Yeah, really? No, I totally think that's fine, and I think feasibly, I never thought that any of the characters introduced before her were near the smartest person. And so if they just outright come and state it, I'm like, well, that just takes the top spot, and I don't really mind.
Right.
You know, I totally don't mind, because I never thought that Hank Pym or Tony Stark were smart people.
Yeah.
Because they act like idiots.
No, they do.
In their individual movies.
Yeah.
But this character, you know, she has like, you know, she's... In a sense, she is tokenistic because she is so well intentioned.
Yeah.
Rather than T'Challa, who has this conflict with his own, you know, his birthright or his burden of leadership.
Yeah.
She is just like, I want to help the world.
Yeah.
And in that sense, she is tokenistic. But in another sense, they feel like, you know, they're just taking a side character who isn't gonna get your screen time. She's just getting like a dimension that is like a good sense of character.
Yeah. I guess it's a good way of writing what is essentially a Mary Sue, mostly because she ain't focused on that much.
Yeah, because she's not a main character. I don't think Mary Sue is even the right word.
Exactly.
I think she's just a character who is there and exists for what she is. She feels tokenistic, but I don't really mind that she feels tokenistic.
Yeah. Because
she isn't a focus.
Yeah. I guess like to close this discussion off, what's important about getting this right, you know, is you want to normalize these things. You know, you don't want to constantly insert this. You don't want to be so Oscar baity about it. Yeah, but what you want is natural depictions of all these things that just make us human.
Or not necessarily culturally sensitive isn't the right word, but culturally aware, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's Panther more to the world than just white dudes in America.
Black Panther in the MCU in the last phase have done it really well, where they're more celebrating the place of Africa in Civil War. It was in the international discussion space with the UN and everything.
Yeah.
And then in Black Panther itself, it was more in a local sense where they're actually looking at the culture and all the costume design and everything.
Yeah.
It talked about to hell and back.
Yeah.
But it is a big deal. It's really interesting and cool, and it gives a real a unique identity to Black Panther.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I think being culturally sensitive is that's beside the point. You should always be culturally sensitive, but you should be celebrate of the heritage of a lot of characters.
Yeah.
And
no, being sensitive is a given, right? I think being aware, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Actually having the balls to tell stories about, these things that are just a little alien to wide audiences still, you know, just because we're so used to your Michael Bay movies where you got Marky Mark running around.
Oh, Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
God. You know? But yeah, on that note, let's go into our... second segment, a Marvel discussion.
Yeah, part 4.
Which Black Panther is going to be a part of this time.
Yeah, because we did a foldover for Doctor Strange from last week.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not doing Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mm-hmm. So before we dive into that, what's our ratings?
Okay, go down the list and give me yours.
Well, I kind of just wrote it as we'd have it, right? So Thor Ragnarok starts us off, 8 out of 10.
We already did our rating for Doctor Strange, so we don't have to do that.
We both gave it a 5, right?
What?
We both gave Doctor Strange a 5.
Yeah, I gave it a 5.
Yeah, exactly. Thor Ragnarok, 8 out of 10.
Thor Ragnarok. You know, I'd probably give it an 8. Yeah, the villain's a big flaw, but it's genuinely a really fun movie. I will never regret. I think I went to see it twice. I don't regret it.
Yeah, no.
I don't regret it.
Yeah, no. I just remember it being the first Marvel movie where actually I was just like I was cracking up.
Oh,
it is so funny.
It is.
The
so
humor
good.
is on point.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, and the rest of it kind of is mediocre. The way the villain just falls flat and.
I'm a huge Hulk fan, though. I'm a huge Hulk fan.
Yeah, and the more Hulk, moments.
The more Hulk we get, the better. And Planet Hulk is, like, so good.
Yeah.
And at least a little bit of Planet Hulk is enough for me. I know some fanboys are probably getting cucked hard by Marvel right now.
Who knows, man? Maybe we'll actually get a Planet Hulk at some point.
No, because we've already done Sakaar. It'd be cool if we got a World War Hulk if they found a way to write a World War Hulk.
No.
That's no way that's ever gonna happen. But
yeah, because
can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh my god,
that would be a mess, and people would freak out the way they even more so than they freaked out in Infinity War.
No, Hulk is never gonna get with Natasha.
Alright, so Black Panther.
Black Panther. Wait, are we gonna talk about Doctor Strange or no?
Doctor Strange is a 5.
If I gave it something else, I'm giving it a 5.
Yeah, it's
mediocre. My opinion might have changed. But
it's so boring.
It's
you
from
just
last
sit
week.
there like it's such a generic origin story.
Yeah, all right. Black Panther gets a 6.
A 7 from me, which is funny because you'd think it'd be the other way around.
You know, I'm sitting on the fence between a 6 and a 7, but I'm still gonna give it a 6 because I think, you know, and it's been talked about. It is like. I think it sits up there with Captain America. It's very interesting. It's more interesting than Captain America because of the design aspect of it.
Right.
Especially as someone who like obsesses over behind the scenes stuff. The costume designer did such an amazing job.
Yeah.
And also the music and the production design in general.
How cool is it? Right?
It's so good, but I fight choreography is weak. Everyone says it, and it's true. The final fight's weak.
So bad.
The villain's amazing.
Killmonger
shouldn't have died. Good. He shouldn't have died. I maintain he shouldn't have died.
Yeah, but the fact that he did, and the fact that he went out the way
that was so beautiful. But that was so beautiful. But I was so angry that he had to die. I
don't blame you. But like, look, Killmonger in every scene he got, he nailed it. And before that, we had what's his face?
Ulysses Claw,
South Africa man. Yeah, he was very cool and just like he worked perfectly in the movie.
Yeah, I really
as your setup villain. Only for it to be turned around.
I really like how.
You know what that is? That's better storytelling than Captain America ever did. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it is, but Captain America. Oh. Well, I'm on the fence.
You're not gonna admit it. That's what's happening.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna admit it. I know you don't like the soundtrack as much as I do.
I don't know. I had that soundtrack on my iPhone for some time.
I don't believe you.
No, I did.
You hate on that soundtrack.
And I like the ways. That's a really good song. I know it's not in the movie.
That's such a good song.
But it's a tight song.
And Killmonger's theme is baller.
Oh, it's so cool.
So good.
All right. Infinity War.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not willing to admit it.
That's
Infinity War gets.
I'll go 9 out of 10.
I knew you would give it a 9 out of 10.
I know. Because I gave the original Avengers a 9 out of 10, and they're both as enjoyable for me. Like, I loved both those movies.
I'm gonna give it man, it's hard because it is like the first of its kind.
Yeah. And it's so good at what it does.
It is really quite good, but I'm gonna give it an 8.
Look, this was supposed to be like the critic and the cynic.
Yeah,
fair enough.
But you're an emotional mess, and you fall for any movie that appears.
But like, I'll happily give Guardians of the Galaxy a 3 out of 10. It's just if I enjoy something, god damn, do I enjoy it?
You'll happily suck the dick of any movie that lightly tickles your emo funny bone.
Like, if it has a good villain, it's got a good villain. Yeah. And what more does a movie need than a good villain?
If it has any villain that's over 6 foot, like, you'll just go, oh, I love it. Oh, it's my favorite movie ever.
The cynic's height fetish exposed. It's gonna be the tag of this episode.
You're disgusting, dude. Like, literally all it needs to have is like a tall villain, and you're like, oh, surprised you didn't like Justice League.
Oh, fuck off. What was his name again? Steppenwolf?
Steppenwolf.
What kind of name is that?
Dude, it's the name of a sick band.
Yeah, it sounds like a really shitty Scandinavian metal band.
It is a sick band. Is that... Steppenwolf's a band. I'm positive that it's a Western band.
Surprised.
It's a Western band, and they have a 6-song, The Highway. Yeah, I don't know the
Dude,
highway.
I do not care. And Steppenwolf is garbage. And I don't care if he's 7 or 8 feet. He was just irredeemable.
Anyway.
Thanos, on the other hand, was just a great villain. And
Big
the fact
Daddy.
that they made him the protagonist of Infinity War,
so good.
that's how the movie landed.
Genius.
9 out of 10. Alright, let's make it even better.
It's an 8. Let's make it into a 10.
Hold on, give me a reason. Why is it an 8? Like, where does it not work?
It doesn't work in a... Here's the thing, right? It does have such a sheer mass of characters that a lot of them fall by the wayside.
Right.
And I found myself losing interest in definitely Captain America.
Right.
Definitely, the Winter Soldier and Black Panther and Vision and Wanda and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and most of the Guardians of the Galaxy. The only characters that you really have to care about are A, Thanos, B, Tony Stark, and then, C, D, E, and F, like Gamora, Star-Lord, fucking Thor.
Yeah.
And then
that's about it.
Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Yeah.
So, not BC, whatever.
Yeah, that was always going to be an issue, though, with just how big the cast was.
Yeah, but, whatever. That's still a strike against the movie. It's not just because it was always going to be an issue doesn't make it not an issue.
That's true.
It's still
I say they solved that by making Thanos the character they were following.
100%.
Because 100%. Otherwise it was going to fall flat one way or another.
100%. I fully agree.
Yeah.
But, they had to choose to, give all of their characters this one little tokenistic moment to shine, and it's like you don't have to.
You know what would have made that better? What we're gonna suggest in a rewrite. No spoilers, but I think it's a pretty good idea. So first movie that we'd have for the rewrite is Ragnarok, where just a reminder we skip over Thor 2.
Yeah,
so we kind of got some catching up to do there. AKA Freya, she needs to be killed in Ragnarok.
Yeah, right? Freya needs to be killed. We need to introduce the reality gem because we eliminated Thor 2, which means the reality gem was never introduced. So it gets introduced now. Yeah. And I think it adds a lot. So let's just go from the start of our version of Ragnarok. Let's not even talk about what we add into So it starts the same, does it?
Almost. Basically, we would have the same opening where Thor is kind of doing his own thing. Yeah. Right? And while that's happening, we'd have Hela come in. And because Loki wouldn't have taken over Asgard, she kind of just starts wrecking shit immediately, right? Yeah, okay. She'll kill Freya. She'll severely incapacitate Odin.
Yeah, okay.
And he's forced to escape. He somehow makes it to Earth because, I don't know, something went haywire, or that's the spot where he's like, I gotta go there. Point is, he winds up on Doctor Strange's doorstep, and that's how we get introduced to Doctor Strange.
Yeah, okay,
because we're gonna skip his movie.
So we're keeping the dynamic that's in the original movie, this prophecy of Ragnarok, where... What's his name? The big fire demon. The big fire demon guy who I know the name because I've been playing a lot of God of War.
Skullgar.
Yeah, Skullgar. Skeletor.
Skullgar. I like that.
He is going to bring about Ragnarok, and then in the end of the movie, we're still going to bring about Ragnarok. Yeah. Because it's important. Yeah. So we start with that whole fight scene because that's really cool intro too. I love that. The first few laughs where he's talking to the skeleton, I was like, I'm hooked. Yeah. This movie is so good. Sure. This movie has got me.
Oh man.
And the Led Zeppelin that they play as well in that scene, so good. Anyway, so we're keeping that, and then we're introducing Doctor Strange. Yeah. And this was interesting, right? This was interesting because we wanted to introduce him in this movie. Yeah. A la Spider-Man in Civil War. Yeah. And so he's already the Sorcerer Supreme, which we'll talk about more in Doctor Strange, but the way we got around this was we were thinking we have Odin after he watches Freya die, and Asgard falls to Hela because Hela returns and just kills everyone.
And just wreck shit.
And then he's he gives himself sort of self-banishment, which he already kind of does in the movie. He banishes himself to Earth, even though Loki pushes him to Earth. He kind of maintains his exile even though he still has his power. Yeah. And then he's like, it's my time to go. Yeah. So Odin obviously resigned to his fate, leaves Asgard and goes to Earth. Right. And seeks out the help of Doctor Strange, who we find all of this out in flashback when Doctor Strange is talking to Thor and Loki. Yeah. later.
Yeah.
So,
I'd make the argument that Odin instead gets wounded by Hela, but I feel like ultimately that would still lead to the same end.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
Where Doctor Strange would have to seek out Thor and Loki and be like, you got to talk to your dad. You know? And that will be his great introduction.
Yeah.
Just interacting casually with these
I really
gods.
like the whole, like, it's like an Uncle Iroh and Toph moment from Avatar.
Yeah.
Where there's two characters who have no business talking to each other. They do, and you find, you know, some commonality in them.
Yeah. Mostly because Doctor Strange is kind of like, I feel like his big character defining moment is the fact that he's so just comfortable and completely natural interacting with three literal gods, you know? Yeah. And as much as like that's already been done in the MCU, it's kind of like, you know, that'll be his little moment where we're like, oh shit, it's Doctor Strange. Like,
yeah, and he's on the level with these guys.
This is another day for him.
Yeah,
you know?
and not even just that, like he doesn't even have to show his power yet.
No, yeah.
He's just there. He's just like refilling Thor's beer.
Yeah.
And doing shit like that.
Doing that, we need that.
Yeah, I love it.
God, that was so good.
So yeah, Doctor Strange points them in the direction of Odin. Odin still has his little speech with the boys. Passes away. Hela destroys Mjolnir.
Right.
And banishes them to Sakaar, and we get.
And then we have the movie.
Pretty much the same movie because it's really good.
Yeah.
I love
change it much.
And I love Planet Hulk.
Jeff Goldblum would have the Reality Stone.
Yeah,
that's
so
a big thing.
So we have basically kind of eliminated the Collector as a character from our rewrites.
Yeah.
And so Jeff Goldblum takes his place as like this weird purveyor of artifacts that fall on Sakaar, and so he has the reality gem.
Yeah. And so he might even mess with it a little. You know, I feel like that could be very creative in this movie.
Him just doing some weird torture thing.
And think of Jeff Goldblum, man. Like, doing this, it'd be amazing. He was already good enough as he was in Ragnarok. But I feel like that could add a whole lot of layer to it.
And this is where this movie intersects with our B-plot for the rewrites, because we want Thanos to come in after Thor and Loki leave to go back to Asgard and fight Hela.
Yeah.
After that, Thanos shows up at Sakaar in like the end of the movie, like the post credits or the you know pre-credits.
Yeah.
After post movie sequence where Thanos shows up and just squishes the Grandmaster and just plugs the.
I'd oppose killing Jeff Goldblum because he holds a special place in my heart. But maybe
probably wouldn't. But Jeff Goldblum just like offers him up like, oh yes, here you go. Here you go.
They turn it into something cute.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does something cool like that. Yeah.
It'd be good,
It'd be good, and then
that'd be Thor Ragnarok. You know, kind of tying a little more into our B plot.
Yeah, it's kind of the same, and it ends on the same note with Thor and Co. Coming across Thanos' ship.
So that lead us to Doctor Strange. Which we wouldn't. I mean, we would have, right? But it'd be very different.
Yeah, I think Doctor Strange. We can move up to the position of sort of like an Ant-Man movie.
Or Black Panther movie.
Or Black Panther, where it just introduces a concept that gets used later.
Yeah.
But the concept as it is introduced separately. Yeah. Because that's kind of what it is. It's like, hey, the Time Stone's a big deal in this movie.
Yeah.
But it you know, it's obviously there to play a role later. But that role in and of itself is not intrinsically valuable to the movie.
Exactly. And if we did like a Doctor Strange movie where it's more of a side adventure than an origin story, that we can focus even more on the Time Stone and the fact that people are realizing its importance because Thanos wants it.
Yeah.
You know?
And basically the best idea we had to improve this movie was to bring forward this whole arc with the side character, the guy who initially recruits Stephen Strange into the I can't remember his name.
Dude, I don't know any of the names.
Yeah, they'll have weird wizard names.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so he obviously they set up his betrayal for the end of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But we want that to happen at around the midway point.
Exactly.
So the characters are already developed as partners and friends.
Yeah.
And then the emotional arc of Doctor Strange is, you know, impacted by this character having a realization that the great wizard, the great master, the Celtic lady was using dark magic the whole time and then betraying, and like that being how Doctor Strange develops.
Yeah.
More so than just sort of viewing irresponsibility and arrogance, which I think is a big... Irresponsibility is obviously the biggest element of the original film because Stephen Strange is initially irresponsible with his ability to heal, and then learns responsibility through trial by fire, I guess. He gets his hands destroyed. Yeah. And then he has to learn responsibility, but then he finds out that his teacher is a hypocrite. Right. All along. And so that aspect is very interesting. I mean, I make it sound more interesting than it's actually depicted in the movie.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So, obviously, double down on that.
Yeah. No, we could definitely... You'd have a story that's still centered around that. Yeah. You know, but yeah, it would just work better as just a not generic origin story.
Mm-hmm. Black Panther? Next one?
Black Panther is just that one on the list where we say, don't change it. Because why would we?
True. I want to keep Killmonger alive so bad, though.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't get the scene where he just, like, rips that spear out.
Such a good scene.
And he's like, bury me in the ocean.
Fix all the fight scenes.
Oh, true.
Fix all the fight scenes.
Look, these are that's nitpicky stuff.
Fix all the fight scenes. I love Killmonger.
He
is returning. He's returning in the sequel as a spirit.
Oh, that's so cool.
For the, like, the tree bit.
Yeah. He's going to be there.
I don't think he'll be there. I think it'll be... He enters the vision realm, but it's like a different area. It's not the Great Plains with the tree with all the panthers on it. It'll be no. Dark corner. What are you talking about?
No. Like, you gotta get excluded from the rest of the gang. We're like, that's where we keep Killmonger.
Remember when Killmonger takes it? He goes to his apartment in Oakland. Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's or maybe it's like. It becomes like the throne room in Wakanda or something. Right. I don't know. I'm excited for that. Anything with Killmonger in it. I loved him so much.
And if Black Panther actually like entered the apartment and came back there too, because that's kind of what started the whole.
Is his name Eric? Eric Killmonger?
I think so. Just keep calling him Killmonger.
That's a great name. Hey there,
Eric just makes me think of Connecticut. Those are two very different figures.
Okay.
Okay, that's the. Next is the big one.
I'm so excited.
Infinity War. The payoff, man. We change a lot. First up, we get rid of the Children of Thanos because fuck those guys.
No, we changed the Children of Thanos. The Children of Thanos are now all characters that we already know.
That we've already established. And we'd keep one of them. We'd keep Squidward.
Yeah, we'd keep Squidward because he's got to die. Yeah, he gotta die, and he's definitely gotta die.
And he was the most fun to watch die, because he was a shit. All right. Like all the other characters didn't really get developed, but this guy was pompous, he was arrogant, and it was just like out of the four children, he felt the most like an actual character.
Yeah. The rest was just archetype. So first things first, we don't really touch the Thor plot. The whole Thor plot kind of just gets like left as is. It's pretty cool, I think.
Except for Loki.
Him forging Stormbreaker. Well, yeah, but that happens only at the start.
Right, yeah.
So at the start, Thor gets kicked out into space. Loki survives in our rewrite because we wanted his death to be a bigger deal. Mm-hmm. His character to be a bigger presence because it's obviously what inspired the conjunction of the Avengers in the first place. So he... Still, he works out a deal with Thanos, and
he offers his services. And what I reckon what we should do is we have Loki kind of what's the word? Haggle for Thor's life through this, being like, you'll keep him alive if I work for you, right? And then Thanos is like, sure, and then kind of just kicks him out, once Loki is with him. Yeah. And then Loki is clearly, he's shaken, but he also knows that Thanos probably spared him through this because he didn't just, snap his neck. Yeah. Or crush him on the spot.
Yeah, and Thor's not going to die out in space.
Exactly, yeah. So Loki's kind of saved Thor doing this, right? And then he joins Thanos as one of his goons.
Yeah, and so we've already got, is Nebula already on their side at the beginning? Yes.
Nebula, yeah, she'd be there already.
Yeah, so we basically replace the female child of Thanos with and the other male guy, the spear dude. We replaced those two with Thor and with Loki and Nebula.
Yeah, and so they'd be the ones who get sent down to Scotland.
Yeah, they're the ones who get sent down to Scotland to extract the soul gem from the head of Vision. Yeah, and then we get this cool little confrontation where Captain America shows up and he's all like, it's Loki, and Loki's all like, oh shit, it's Captain America.
This guy, exactly.
And I like something that you raise is like, we can just have at this point Loki kind of reveal his plan, quote unquote, to Captain America and be like, look, I'm trying to save Thor, and like, turn over a new leaf, and like, I know you won't trust me and this and that or whatever. Yeah. And then they're on it, and they're sort of in on this plan where Loki then gets sent back to Thanos, and he's all like, we came back empty-handed, they beat us,
exactly,
which is kind of what happens in the original movie anyway, except this is the moment where Thanos kills him,
because Thanos would realize that Loki would certainly have this, because it's fucking Loki, right, and Loki is just playing against him, trying to stop him from getting the stone, so Thanos would just kill him,
Thanos
and
we'd get like a fat chance,
no, I mean, snap his neck, like as before, because it was a cool death. It was just very cheap, because it was the start of the movie, and it made no sense for Loki to just be so haphazard and whip out a knife first moment.
So he's trying to, and I also like this as a development for Thanos, right? Loki's trying to like play him, he's trying to play Thanos. He's like, ooh yeah, Thanos is like, I'm not having any of this. Bang, you're dead.
Because Thanos is above that.
And then
just to, show how much of a threat he is.
Nebula we discussed a lot in terms of her motivation. And we thought it would be interesting because she is a confused character. She plays both sides a lot. And so she kind of goes in with... She slips in with Thanos because she has no other choice. Or she feels she has no other choice. And she wants to... She obviously is bent on survival as well as revenge. And so at some point we have like an implied idea of assassination or an attempted assassination, but we don't... We never explicitly see it. We don't see it in Infinity War the movie, and we don't see it in the rewrite. So Nebula is just on Thanos' side until Thanos betrays her again and uses her as a bargaining chip against Gamora, which he does in the movie. So it's a good setup for that plot line.
And for
instead of her
Nebula
kind of
come out of that and be like, well, I'm gonna fucking kill Thanos.
And then instead of sort of coming out of the blue with in that point, she tried to kill me. So that's a big deal. That's sort of the arc of the Scotland thing that's at the start of the movie. And then the other side of it is the whole like the Squidward and Patrick Star fighting Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Hulk in New York.
Thing. Patrick Star?
Yeah, he's a fucking giant dude, man.
That's Patrick Star?
I guess. I don't know.
Well, basically, instead of that big, just cheap giant dude, we'd have Ronan.
Oh, dude, I love this. And this is what inspired the idea of rewriting it, because I was like, why not keep Ronan alive and have him just fucking beat some faces, dude? Just have him do some sick fight scenes.
Because he wouldn't have the Power Stone anymore, but that's fine because he's still Ronan.
Oh
and
yeah,
he's still like
he's still swinging that hammer and beating people.
And at the start he'd take on Iron Man and Spider-Man, and I feel like an equal matchup because the two of them are sure very powerful, but Ronan is like he's really good too.
Yeah, he's got Thanos' power behind him as well.
He wouldn't lose his arm though, the way that the big dude did in Infinity War. 100%. Like because we'd have basically a similar fight where Wong or whatever his name is would open a portal and kind of be like, well, you're out, right? But we can kind of just have him try and enter the portal and then just get shut off.
Yeah, and that fight kind of plays out the same way. So Ronan obviously will come back at the very end in the Wakanda fight. Yeah. And we just had the idea of instead of like having anyone explicitly defeat him, he just kind of falls to the snap. Yeah. Which I really like.
Before that, he should be there beating Hulk and the Hulkbuster, just beating the shit out of him, right? Yeah. Because he's a much better fighter. Yeah. And then when Thanos actually arrives, he's kind of like he's aware of the fact that this is where it's all going to happen. So he's part of the thing that kind of makes it happen. That lets Thanos get to Vision, because Thanos was not going to have a problem getting through any of those guys, right? Because at that point he had too many stones. But it still felt cheap the way he didn't really kill anyone. Yeah. Like from a character perspective, sure you can argue he was just so tired at that point. He did not want to kill anyone. Sure you can make that argument, but if you just have Ronan there, like taking him on. As Thanos is getting the Vision, and Wanda kind of being the only thing just standing between him and success, like that adds to it too, And then the ultimate irony is him just getting snapped out of existence.
Oh yeah.
After he's done all that,
there's his hammer. So little pity from Thanos, even though Ronan fought for him.
Like that would be great. And then to have him in the Soul Stone, I don't know what kind of shenanigans he's going to get up in like what he's going to get up to there.
I also think that in that scene we should have a lot more. Actually, no. When I came out of the original Infinity War, my first thought was like, he was going to kill half of the MCU anyway. Why didn't we see some ultra-violent Thanos murder?
Because the kids were already like just shocked enough.
No, 100%. But also, if you look back critically at the movie, the only time that Thanos really explicitly kills, other than like Loki, who had betrayed him previously, and other than the culling of the Asgardians, like the half of the Asgardians, other than doing that, which the culling is still what he does in the end. Other than doing that, the only kill he gets is Gamora, and that is like an emotional moment for him. Yeah. So I think it's still bookends. So saying it's a shame because I want to see some ultra violence, but
I'm okay with the movie not being as violent.
Yeah.
Only being violent through implication. Yeah. Because Thanos is basically a genocidal maniac.
Yeah. And we get the snap again, right? We just keep that whole sequence.
Yeah, yeah.
Of everyone melting.
One thing that we would need to change is there's no Collector in this movie. So, like, we would want that scene that plays out with Gamora and Star-Lord, where Star-Lord is forced to shoot her, but then ultimately doesn't, of course. That wouldn't be able to take place.
That is interesting, yes, because we don't have the reality stone is found in Sakaar.
Exactly.
Maybe.
I feel like we had a plan for this, because we both made the argument that we did want this scene, because it's a great moment for all characters.
It is a great moment. I think maybe we could just have the Gamora and Star-Lord making an attempt to escape. Right, because Gamora is a MacGuffin for Thanos.
Right.
He's hunting her, and so it's more of a Thanos seeking them out than a them going to find the reality gem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. If they're aware of the fact that Thanos is after her, then at some point he just come knocking on their door, and you could very easily set up a sequence.
And that's already an element of our rewrite of Guardians of the Galaxy.
With it on the run.
Of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're still on the run.
Yeah.
And they just splinter off. So Rocket and Groot and Drax go... Not Groot and Drax. That's the Net of movies rewrite.
Yeah.
Which is a great video.
Right, yeah, definitely recommend that. Because he does a similar thing.
Yeah, Rocket and Groot go help Thor build the Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
Which is sick.
Oh yeah, we keep that. Hell, like, in an alternative universe where I wouldn't feel like I'm ripping off Nanovi movies, I'd say that keep the whole Drax thing, where Drax sacrifices himself to just get that portal open. Because in what we talked about, Drax is already a little more beefed up. Yeah. He actually have the ability to hold the thing open for like a little while at least.
Yeah, but I think that he feels as good of a position in the Titan fight as he does with our modifications to Thanos, right? Where he's a more of a humble character who's funny because he's blunt and rude.
Yeah.
I feel with our modifications, he still fills a better role in the Titan fight, which is where he is in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't mind.
No, fair enough.
I couldn't care less.
Yeah, it'd be one
for our rewrite. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Because again, the Thor stuff is a C plot.
Yeah.
What we're focusing on is our big boy.
Exactly. And yeah, we keep all that. We get that mad fight against Iron Man at the end. What?
Nothing. It's just a terrible joke.
But yeah, that'd be it. That's the whole MCU rewrite, the way we tackle it.
Thank God, dude. I'm so tired of talking about Marvel movies.
Look, it's what we said, man. They're pivotal to any discussion about franchises because they're what you want to be,
Yeah, I know.
Every universe is trying to set itself up is looking at Marvel being like, oh, man, this is what we want.
I guess, like, the reason that I wanted to do the rewrites was because, because they feel too separate. Even though they're all supposed to be part of this big branching universe, they feel too separate.
No, they do.
And in some cases, it's a good thing. Like, I don't think Ant-Man would benefit from having more or less of any element of the MCU in it.
Not at all, yeah.
The original Ant-Man still is, like, probably the most independent movie. Aside from, like, the whole bit where they go to Avengers Mansion, which is, like, literally just there.
Exactly.
To include it in
drop, dude.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, why don't we just go do a practice heist on XY warehouse in upstate New York or some shit? Why does it have to be the Avengers one?
Yeah.
But it did because it was part of the MCU, and I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
But literally, Ant-Man's nowhere in Infinity War.
Yeah.
And he is so far like the least consequential character. Hence, not doing Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I know you haven't seen it, so I'm gonna speak for you.
Oh, sure.
You probably give it a 5.
Yeah.
You'd probably give it a 5.
I wouldn't be surprised if I did.
You'd probably give it a 5. I give it a 6.
Yeah,
because like I gave the original Ant-Man.
I gave the original Ant-Man a 6 as well, though. But yeah, I feel like with the Wasp.
No, I'm saying, but you definitely give it a 5.
Yeah, I just
because you're like the villains. There's nothing here. Yeah. And but I'd be like, you know what, like, net positive, just because it's funny and it's good, and like him and his daughter are adorable together.
Right.
And him and Hope are pretty good together.
But I mean,
and him and Hank Pym are pretty good together.
Because
Paul Rudd's a good actor.
Oh, he is. But look, this is hypothetical. I haven't seen a movie. And the thing is, a weak villain doesn't necessarily equate to a bad movie with me, because Ragnarok is still an 8 out of 10, and Hela was just a letdown.
Hela was a letdown, but like, come on, like the Collector's still a villain in that as well.
Is he really? Like, are you sure?
Alright, well, if you don't consider it a villain, then I can disqualify it because you are the master of all things villain.
I wouldn't put it like that, but you're right.
Fucking righteous asshole. Jesus.
Oh man, the Collector's just so much fun. He's not a villain, man. He's just a character of mayhem.
This Flambeau psycho character.
Yeah, he's insane, dude.
Shave his head and then make him fight a green man. Let's do it.
And what more do you want from a character, you know? And the fact that he's played by Jeff Goldblum, who's just 100% on board. Have you seen that man in interviews and like just promo stuff?
He's great, yeah.
He doesn't mind being called Daddy Goldblum, and I'm like, you're a 10 out of 10.
You know what I did go and
see?
As a
human being.
Speaking of franchise movies with Jeff Goldblum in it, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, he just memes his way through that as well.
4 out of 10, dude.
Really? I thought it'd be lower.
It's weak.
Well, I ain't gonna watch it.
It was better than, maybe even a 3. It was weak. It was weak. It was piss poor.
Jurassic World was.
I don't know what they're doing. Like, they're obviously leading into having a quote unquote Jurassic World. Because the end, you won't mind of the spoiler, but end screen is like the Velociraptor from Jurassic World, the blue one.
Yeah.
The blue. It's like on the top of some cliffs in like New Mexico or somewhere in America, doing the ticking on the thing, and then the camera pans up and wide, and you just get like the view of the suburbs. And it's like, oh no. He's gonna go into the suburbs and it's Jurassic World now. What?
That's embarrassing.
It's so bad.
So, Jurassic Park / World rewrite next?
No.
Are we gonna fix this universe?
No, we don't have to fix shit. We just watch the first movie.
Yeah, no, true. Honestly,
that's so funny.
I think we actually don't have anything that we want to talk about next. In terms of our next episode.
To rewrite. I mean, I enjoyed the fucking shit out of the first half of this one, so we should just keep doing that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's all I wanted to do, is just cathartically unleash my opinions onto the world.
Your terrible opinions.
No, actually, it was just to argue with you, because it's really what makes me get up in the morning.
Oh, look at that. Well, I appreciate you too. But we'll definitely think of something to talk about next week. But for now, we're blank slate. So hey, if anyone has any ideas, or has any commentary on our commentary, then go ahead and post your own terrible opinions. Because I imagine we may have struck some chords with our discussion today about PC culture in general.
Man,
who knows?
I don't like. Sure, probably, definitely. I think we want to treat it as more of a discussion than like a. Let's just put our opinions out there.
Oh, of course.
It's everyone
not like we
does
need to trigger people or something.
Yeah, everyone does that. We're not out to trigger people. We just like discussing positive and negative, in terms of this stuff.
Yep, very true.
With that PC side.
Tune in next week for God knows what.
Something interesting, because I don't. Maybe we should talk about Creed and Logan. And The Last Jedi and
God of War.
God of War.
Well, we can talk about that.
We could. How
to naturally age your franchise, like fine wine.
Or I don't think that's naturally aging. I think that's like it's more of a, well, this is probably leading into a discussion maybe for next week, but like the dynamic between Logan and the X-Men movies, or Creed and the Rocky movies.
Right.
Like that dynamic.
The relationship they have.
I love it.
That's a great idea.
Discussion. Actually. Anyway.
Yeah, possibly tune in for that.
Next week.
Until then,
Check out the Tumblr. If you have any comments and you post it, we will write a reply and put it up on Tumblr most times. And we'll reply to your comment, obviously, with a link
That's true.
To the post, the Tumblr post. It's not a real. It's not. We don't treat it as a Tumblr, so we're not going to reblog anyone or put any likes up. It's more of just sort of the avenue through which we put our writing.
Yeah.
On the internet. So check out the Tumblr, and then tune in next week for week 5, Mystery Week. Oh my God.